My name's Elsa, and I am one of the Faith Kids directors here at Cheney Faith Center. So, big welcome, hey kids. And I have a couple of quick announcements. First of all, we have been using for the past few weeks our 1 Corinthians journal. It looks something like this, or you maybe got a different cover. And we are today in week 5, which means you're like, week 5, that's the end of my journal. That means that this Thursday, you can come to church between 3:30 and 5:30 and grab a new journal for our next series. And it's not going to start this Sunday. It's going to start on the 13th. Yeah, this Sunday is next Sunday. Sorry, whatever. The 6th is coming up, but we're going to start our new journals on the 13th. But you can come and pick it up this Thursday from church, 3:30 to 5:30. And that's an invite to you kids, all of you parents as well. And as a fun celebration for our journal handouts, we are also going to have a cold treat for a hot day. So come get a little cold treat, like one of those little shaved ice, I don't know, snow cones, like a cold treat. So 3:30 to 5:30 Thursday, come grab your journals. If you're a kid, for sure, come grab your kid journal. If you're a parent, if you're an adult, come grab your adult journal and get a cold treat. Hopefully it's actually hot on Thursday. Chances are good it will be. Also in your journal, kiddos, you will see in week 5 something that looks sort of like this. This is our coloring page, and then there's this page right here which has our memory verse on it, and I'm going to take a couple minutes right now to talk about our memory verse. Our memory verse this week is really long. So to work on it, you can color these strips and then rip out the paper, cut along these lines, and then put them together like this little chain. So you can do this too if you're an adult, but as you do it, you can remember, okay, what right do I have to pronounce judgment on you, on unbelievers? So you're going to do that, and then, you're like, oh, I know this first part. Okay, so turn it around so you can't see it. What right do I have? And practice going through it as you go all the way through the chain. And if you think you really got it, you just can throw the chain away and just do it without it. If you know your memory verse, you can call us here at the church office. You can send us an email, send us a video on social media, call us on the phone, send me a text, send Mrs. April a text. We love getting your phone calls, and we love getting your texts that you are saying the memory verse, and we will bring you a little prize, or you can come pick one up next week, however you want to do it. But as you are working on that memory verse, we hope this tool helps you, and then also that you tell someone else that memory verse. But this memory verse, let's unpack it a little bit before we work on our memorizing. What right do I have to pronounce judgment on unbelievers? That's God's responsibility. But those who are inside the church family are our responsibility to discern and judge. So it's your duty to remove that wicked one from among you. 1 Corinthians 5:12 and 13. And that's in the Passion Translation. And as I was thinking about this is really, really not only wordy, but very confusing if we aren't sure what Paul is talking about. So I want us to all pretend that we are hockey players. I brought my helmet. Now I can barely see you, and I can't hear you very well. But I got my helmet, and I got my hockey stick. This is clearly not mine, or it would be a little longer. But let's pretend we're all hockey players, and we know how to play hockey. For the most part, you skate around, and you use your hockey stick, and you try to get the puck in the net. You're on a team. There's multiple people on your team. Depending on your age, there's 5-ish, 6-ish people on your team. And each team has its own style of playing. Some teams play a lot of offense, some play a lot of defense, but there are also a few rules that everyone's following. Like, you have to wear the proper equipment and use a hockey stick, not a baseball hat. or baseball bat. You have to wear a helmet, not a baseball hat, and you have to use a hockey stick, not a baseball bat. And you have to keep the hockey puck inside the playing arena. Other than that, in hockey, there really aren't a lot of rules. You can hit each other, you can push each other out of the way. A lot of times you can fight about whether or not someone was being friendly. You can sometimes hit each other with your stick, whatever. There's a lot of loose rules in hockey. But there is a different kind of hockey I want to tell you about. And you're like thinking, there's hockey, it's all hockey. But not everyone gets to play this kind of hockey. And I can't hear anything, and this is really hot, so I'm going to take that off. But this is Olympic hockey. Every few years, all the countries in the world come together to compete in the Olympics. Every 4 years is the Winter Olympics. Each team represents its country, and to be on the team, you have to be invited. And when you accept, you become a representative of your country. So the U.S. Team USA is our U.S. team. A few years ago, my husband Conrad and I went to the Winter Olympics, and we watched a hockey game. And it was different than regular hockey. We'd seen regular hockey before. We knew what to expect, but we'd never seen Olympic hockey. We figured it was all the same. It's all hockey, right? But not. In the Olympics, the whole world is watching. And there are different rules than regular hockey. And if you don't follow those rules, you get penalized. You get thrown in the penalty box, or you could even get thrown out of the game. For example, in regular hockey, like we just talked about, if your helmet comes off and it falls on the ice, you have a little bit. You can finish the play and go back and pick up your helmet and put it on when it's convenient. But in Olympic hockey, if it falls off, you have to get it right away. Your helmet is there for your safety and your protection. In regular hockey, if you use your stick and you hit somebody in the chest to stop them from getting the puck, no big deal. In Olympic hockey, if you do that, thrown into the penalty box, you get in trouble. You can't do that. But the most different is when it comes to fighting. In regular hockey, fighting is allowed and even expected. But in the Olympics, if you try to fight, your team has to kick you out of the game. And they have to play without you. That's a big deal. Nobody wants that because fighting doesn't follow the rules and it doesn't represent your team and your country well. And the world is watching. It's not allowed. This is kind of like what our verse talks about today. If all the people in the world were hockey players, the Christians would be like the Olympic team. We were invited to be a part of God's team. And when we accept, we're representatives of the kingdom of God. And like Olympic hockey players, we agree to different rules to follow. God's rules to follow. If we don't follow these rules, other people on our team, they have to help us. They pull us aside and try to help us see and remind us of what the rules are. Hey, put your helmet back on. You can't just leave it laying on the ice. That's there for your protection. Hey, keep your stick focused on the puck. We don't get to hit other people. But if a Christian doesn't listen and doesn't play by God's rules, like if they start fighting, we will have to do more than just put them in the penalty box. We will have to remove them, just like our verse says. We, as Christians, when we notice someone on God's team who isn't following God's rules, we have to lovingly remind them whose team they're on and how we play on this team. We're all on God's team. You, as a Christian, need to remind them that they're different than the world. And they need to live and act differently than the world. Just like in the Olympics, the world is watching. So let's be Olympians. Let's be representatives of God's kingdom, and let's help our brothers and sisters also to represent God's kingdom well.